battle here at this fantastic circuit where racing, close racing, is all but guaranteed.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, by the way, it's good to be working with you. It's our first time together. So
likewise, Jim.
Y'all don't mind us if we trip over each other a little bit. But actually, I believe that the boss gave us the wrong information. I believe that they are actually now in qualifying.
Oh, there we go. So it looks like Kieran Sharp has made it out, having helped us set up the broadcast just in time.
So we actually have the entire qualifying session that we get to talk about what's going on and go over the points and all that. So let me do this. I'm going to throw up the qualifying mode on the bottom there so we can see as these guys start to put down some time, see what their sectors look like. And we'll, what do you say we go over the points real quick?
Absolutely. As we look at Jamie Nuttall in car number 14, just going around the hairpin, which is going to be a prime overtaking spot, coming as it does after Parabolica, that long left-hander that you effectively take flat out because it's essentially a straight. So in the pro class, Tom Davidson. Oh,
my bad. I was pulling up the AMs first. Sorry.
Here you go. AMs first. Okay, we can do AMs first if you want to do it that way.
No.
Well, I'm fine to go.
1 second here. There we go.
Sure thing. How about I wait for you to pull them up and then I read them out?
You jinxed me when you said I was going to do a fine job broadcasting. There you go. There's your amateurs. Job.
There we go. So Francesco Cardulo, as expected, 76 points to his name, having won the first round and won the sprint round and the longer round at round 2. Absent, of course, for round 3, the same as Gareth Ronda, the Englishman, second in the championship on 44 points, some distance behind. Then it's Stefan Mellis in third on 42 points. Clyde Bourne, fourth on 40 points, equal with Matt Smith right behind him. Johnny Wu is sixth, the German on 36 points. Then is Giovanni Zazzara in seventh. Nick Russell in eighth. Valerio Tedeschi in ninth on 29 points. Rounding in the top 10 is Mauro Galbati then.
Yeah, Gabbiati. That's actually one I know. The rest of them, not so much.
Yeah, and just the rest of ours. This for completion's sake. Daniel Roberts, 11th. Wayne McNichol in 12th. Fabio Falci, 13th. Thomas Martin, 14th.
And I can handle that one too. Thomas Martin, I can do.
So moving on then. Yep. Pro-Ams, as we see Kieran Sharp going, setting a purple first sector in the background, which is definitely interesting as we see the Pro-Am championship standings. Lim Giles in his BMW M8 GTE, 77 points to his name. He is in the lead from Patrick Falconer, who is on 44 points, having not started the previous race. Dirank is third, the Englishman, which is, of course, William Chandler. Just looking at the SimGrid standings. Tumas Kana is in fourth in the championship for TSRC Esports, the Estonian, on 41 points, equal with Paul Weller. And is Mav Gardner fifth, Thomas Roundtree seventh, Bart Raven eighth, Paul Smith in ninth, and Matt Acton rounding out the top 10 for his own Matt Acton photography team. Nick Clippens is 11th, Stefan Hutter 12th, and Bobby Moss from the Nigel Mansell fan club at 7 points to his name. Bobby will be hoping to do better. Yes, exactly. Good to see the 1992 Formula One world champion, the fan club, alive and
also
well.
The 93 IndyCar champion.
Of course, kart, as it was back in the day.
Yes, it was.
Let's move on then to the final championship standings. That is the big one. It is the pro class. Tom Davidson leading on 73 points with 2 wins to his name so far this season. Jack Southfield is second on 59 points. Then it's Jamie Nuttall in third on 46 points. Gergely Kunsabo is fourth, the Hungarian on 38 points. And is Richard Simnor in fifth. Marius Hibma in sixth. Francesco Peterlin in 7th. Hayden Miller is 9th, equal. He's 8th, sorry, with Andrew Pike in 9th. Kieran Sharp rounds out the top 10 as he's still completing his flying lap in the background. Then is Mattia Ubertali in 11th. Lucas Sauers in 12th. William Hamling on 13th on 10 points. Then is Luciano Vivoet in 14th, the final point scorer, with Josh Millington yet to get off the mark. So let's see if Josh in the TSRC esports team can match his four teammates, I should say, that have all got points to their name. As we see the first couple of flying laps, I think, being completed in the background, Jim.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a few done there. Kieran is super fast, but he did not.
That first sector.
I know you. Well, he's fast. Period. I mean, he is fast. Anything he drives. He was having some wheelbase issues, and did not race the first couple of rounds this year in this season. So that's why he's so low in the points total. I'm sure, he'll bounce back. He'll move up pretty quickly because, like I said, he's fast. He's always, like he was at the top of the practice board, I believe. I think number one in practice. And right now, I believe he's sitting, at the top of the qualifying board as well.
Yep. So if I'm not mistaken, we should have a pros in kind of with the what color next to their name? The sort of gold color is the pros.
Yeah, goldish color.
Silver is the pro-ams, and then red is the amps.
Here, let me see. If I dig around here a little bit, I may find something that will help you out with that. It may take me a second, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
That
so
shows
the three different pole times,
pro-ams, and your am colors too. Also, though, that way you know who's who.
I feel almost with childish glee proud of myself for figuring that one out.
You did well.
But anyway,
I mean, you got some pro-ams that are pretty far up there in the qualifying. You got is it Giles? Yeah. Liam Giles is what, 4th overall. That's a pretty quick time as pro-am.
He's also a pro-am championship leader as well. So looking to put clear daylight between himself and his direct competition ahead of even Tom Davidson here, as we see Jamie Nuttall now going fastest of anybody, 1:35.146, so marginally ahead of the time set by Kieran Sharp there.
Yeah, Jamie's fast.
And that's very, very quick in the Corvette.
And he's got a nice paint scheme too. Fan of that. We're starting to whittle them down here. There's only a few guys left on the track, and it seems like they are all ending their sessions. Yeah, we are running out of guys here.
We took so long to read out all the standings that the session is pretty much over.
We normally we would have come in with only 5 minutes to go, and we would have pretty much missed most of qualifying and just kind of sum it up at the end normally. So they got some bonus coverage tonight from us.
Yep, here we go. This looks like is that Wayne McNichol or Bart Raven?
No, that's Wayne McNichol.
Yeah, so Wayne still out on track in the purple and yellow liveried Porsche, trying to improve from a 15th position on the grid. So that's 4th in the AM class, essentially. He's trying to beat Wu's time of a 1:36.374. So it will say yellow next to, as he goes a little bit off track there. That might be track extending. So that's the end of his effort. So he will start no better than 4th in class. And that's a shame because I think Nick McNichol was, while not up on his personal best, not too far away.
Wow, yeah, that was. So that apparently wrapped it up. So we've got a little bit of time here before the qualifying session ends, but it looks like all the guys are off track. Or guys and gals, I'm not sure. You out there tonight or not? No, doesn't. So I guess we can kind of talk about these times a little bit, although we'll go over the grid here in a minute. But I mean, you look at Jamie and Kieran there; they're separated by just a couple of hundredths. They're pretty close to the same time almost.
Yeah, I remember actually commentating on the TSRC Endurance Championship, also in iRacing, and it was Nuttall and Davidson that were fighting for the championship, and Kieran Sharp was one of the front runners in the GD3 class. So he certainly translated that pace to the GDEs very well. Have both of them, to be honest. So
I'm a huge fan of GTEs myself. As a driver, I tend to be able to brake pretty well, so I don't necessarily need the ABS, so the GTEs fit me, but I can use the throttle. I'm a little heavy-footed on the throttle, so having throttle control and no ABS is a good combo for me. So I gravitate. I love the GTEs, and I try to drive them as much as possible. That's why I wanted to do this series so bad when they announced they were going to run it, because I love this car so much.
Indeed. So it's always lovely to have you as well, Jim, giving an insight on these cars. So we see Liam Giles leading the Pro-Am class. He's got Davidson and Simnot in between himself and Mav Gardner. And that's crucial for him to have that little bit of buffer, where by contrast, the Am runners, the top four all together in the middle of the grid. So let's go through that grid right now then from, well, I guess from bottom to top.
Oh,
Shall we do it that way?
No, that's my bad.
Okay.
I'm
sure Nick Russell won't mind.
from our little snafu before the show started, so I'm still trying to settle back in.
Anyway, there we go. We are settled in now. Jamie Nuttall will start on pole position for the Cracked Racing team ahead of Kieran Sharp on the front row. Row 2 will be Josh Millington and Pro-Am leader Liam Giles. Then it's Tom Davidson in 5th on the grid with Richard Simnor alongside him. Mav Gardner will start 7th with Patrick Falconer for company on row 4. Then on row 5, it's Nick Clibbins with Paul Weller rounding out the top 10. Bobby Moss will start 11th from the Nigel Mansell fan club. Then Johnny Wu, our AM pole sitter, essentially starts 12th on the overall grid, 1.2 seconds off the pace. Behind Johnny, also in the AM class, in 13th. Let's wait for that to pop up on screen. There we go. It's Nick Russell, of course, with Clive Bourne for company in 14th. Then it's Wayne McNichol. We saw just missing out on a better group position right at the end of qualifying. He starts 15th. Bart Raven, quite way down on the rest of the Pro-Ams in 16th. Then is Giovanni Cesara in 17th. Paul Smith in 18th and another Pro-Am. Then Matt Smith, 19th. Gareth Ronda, 20th. Valerio Tedeschi, 21st. Mauro Gabbiati in 22nd. And Stefan Mellis in 23rd. And Mellis, of course, 3rd in the AM Championship. So starting last on the grid, having not set a time, he's got a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, he does, actually. And Stefan runs in a lot of different series that we cover here on the JPB network. I covered 2 this week with him in it already. And he's running in the AMs here. He should be, up towards the top of the AMs. He's in my mind, he could easily be a Pro-Am. He's pretty quick. He does well. I think his problem is he turns a lot of fast laps, but occasionally he makes a little unforced error now and then, and that's what's keeping him from running up front with these guys. But he's getting better and better. I've watched him now for a couple seasons, and he's doing well.
Anyway, then, safety car leading the pack round for the rolling start. You see Jamie Nuttall in the number 14 on the right, and then it is Kieran Sharp in the sort of Ford GT.
He is running a Ford GT. That's old school right there. I love it.
Exactly, yes.
Well,
not quite 1966 Ford
No,
GT.
not that old school. Now, that would be cool. Well, I wish they would come out with that.
Pulling in. So, looks like the pack about to get going then. But Sharp in 23, Nuttall in number 14. Who is going to get the better getaway? And look at the rest of our classes as the red lights come on and racing gets underway here at the Hockenheimring. And it is Nuttall in that black Corvette that gets the inside here. Not an amazing start for Sharp as he goes a little bit wide off track, but nevertheless defends that second position as they come rushing down into turn 2. Everybody squabbling for position. There was a turquoise BMW that locked the brakes. A little bit of contact further back. Difficult to see who all these drivers are. The number 47. Oh, is somebody's in the Porsche having a little spin as they enter the Parabolica there. Maybe they got a tap from behind. This is where they all start slipstreaming each other then, Jim, as they go towards the hairpin for the first time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that might have been Gabbiati that got sideways back there. We'll have to go back and check on it. No, we got big action here though.
3-1 does not go very easily, does it? Oh, it's still happening. It's still happening. As that's the 51 going sideways. Oh, and his teammate spinning just in front of him there as the 44 passes his teammate as well and gets through into the top 10. A little bit tricky to tell what class all of these are in, but I think the classes being mixed up has not worked out particularly well for some of those further back. But now we see Kieran Sharp under pressure from his teammate Millington now, who has gotten past, hauled off Liam Giles, who still runs a very, very impressive 4th. It's actually Pro-Am's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th then. So yeah, it's only really our top 2 in the pro class that have stayed out of trouble here.
Yeah, this is yeah. Well, we got Josh Millington also here in 3rd in the pro class.
Oh, Wu has lost out big time. The pole sitter in AM, he's dropped to 20th.
Well,
it's now Buren and Russell that hold the lead.
I'm going to try to peek at a couple of these incidents real quick. So the first incident we looked at was oh no.
I think Tom Davidson went into the pit lane there as well as this has been going on. So that's our points leader in pro that has hit issues. This is Richard Simonor.
Yeah, this is the first incident we witnessed here, or the beginning.
Richard is on the outside. 2 drivers try to go up the inside. He gets tapped from behind. And then does he get a second incident? As there's another free wide. Oh, dear.
Yeah, that was Paul Weller, I believe. No, let's see. Weller's going to be the guy that hits him. It's involved with him here, as is Johnny Wu.
Yeah, very costly for Wu then. Oh. As you see, Well has to go very, very wide, and then immediately sees that incident. Was that Wu in the incident behind him as well that got spun around there?
So yeah, so this is going to be the second incident behind that one.
Whoa! So he comes in steaming on the brakes, and then there's another crash right in front of him, and poor Paul Smith nowhere to go. He was just sandwiched in the middle. Oh, and there's more contact as well.
Oh yeah, no, this is a hot mess back here. And then had Wu apparently got some damage. Oh no, you get damage. He got. Well, he was involved in the second incident, and then
he was involved in the free wide, yes.
Yeah,
and he was just avoiding one of the other cracked cars spinning in front of him. But yeah, Wu really, really losing out, and it was Bart Raven as well that was on the inside of that sort of sandwich there. Be interested to see what happened to Tom Davidson as well,
yeah,
because of course
find that one here in a second. Get us back and
Davidson has got going again out of the pits in 19th, and he's not the only one who's come in for repairs. As we see Johnny Wu making a visit to the pit lane as well. But Millington now is all over the back of Kieran Sharp, the 2 TSRC esports drivers battling for 2nd overall in the race, and Millington, of course, is where is he in the pro class? I think he might actually be pro AMs, isn't he? As we see,
Millington is listed as a pro here.
Oh, and he's up the inside into the hairpin as Kieran Sharp tries to get the cutback on exit here as they go downhill towards the Mercedes-Benz Arena. And now it's Sharp that's going to be on the outside though as they go towards the grandstand. And Millington is just about able to hold on. 2 TSRCs leaving plenty of room or plenty of rubber thrown offline as Kieran Sharp has to go wide just to leave enough space. But yeah, Millington getting his elbows out, and on lap 3 of the first heat here, he could be a real threat to Jamie Nuttall and the rest of this. Don't forget about Liam Giles, our Pro-Am leader, not far behind them either.
Yeah, I don't think Kieran Sharp's done with him just yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't put money on that either then, as Kieran Sharp then decides to settle in. So Bourne, Russell, and Zazara now lead. Bourne leads Russell by 3 seconds in the AM class now. And then we've got Wayne McNichol, who we saw have those issues in qualifying. All of a sudden, I mean, he's still in 4th in the overall order, isn't he? But he's got a great chance. There's a big fight for 2nd behind Russell, essentially. So it'll be interesting to see how that all filters out then. But Clive Bourne, of course, has been given a golden opportunity to win this thing.
He has, and he's opened up a nice little lead so far. And we've only got roughly about 10 minutes left in this one. Those incidents at the beginning, which I could not find what happened to Davidson. I can see him coming in the pits, but I cannot see.
He might have had another issue, He might have had maybe an off track or a drive through for that.
Yeah, maybe a drive through for well, I don't think he would have. I think
he was trying to avoid it. Yeah, he was in sort of right behind Giles, wasn't he? 5th or 6th on the grid. So it's very odd that because he lost a couple of positions and then had to go in the pits. So clearly something went very, very wrong somewhere on that 1st or 2nd lap potentially. As we look at Clive Bourne.
Let's see if
continuing
I can go back
to lead
up there, if I can find where it happened, maybe at the in that first incident or something.
Yeah, certainly. But while you're doing that, you're going to keep an eye on the battles on track. I think the closest one is Russell Zazara and Wayne McNichol fighting over 11th overall and second in the AM class. There is Wayne McNichol, as we see, Clibbins and Gardner swapping 6th and 7th positions just somewhere up the road ahead of them. And it looks like Nick Clibbins has gotten through into 6th. He's all over the back of Richard Simonot as we look at Mav Gardner about to be passed by Paul Weller. Weller positioning himself to the outside, breaks late into turn 2, but he's stranded on the outside, not going to get the traction or the inside for Parabolica. So onward they go. Now they're all just going to slipstream each other. And of course, you see Clive Bourne is at the back of this sort of train. So he's quite content for the Pro-Ams and the pros to stroll of each other now. Clibbins on the outside here sees Mav Gardner getting up the inside and back, or is that Simonor, sorry, going up the inside in the pro class and retaking 5th position overall in the race as Zazara has passed Russell in the background. You can just see it in the background there as Russell loses that second in the Ampers class.
Yeah, they're racing hard, really hard back here in this mid-pack stuff.
And wide goes Mav Gardner. Paul Weller up to 7th then, and that would be 3rd in the Pro-Am class.
There's some heavy racing up and down this whole field. They are.
And Johnny Wu, we just saw him out of the race along with Gabbiati. So both of them just taking other pit stops there. But yeah, I think Wu maybe in big difficulties down in 22nd positions. Davidson, by the way, up to 17th, closing on Matt Smith for 16th then. As we look at Clive Bourne, he's got Patrick Falconer all over the back of him, but of course not in the same class. But you can see Zazara now starting to close as well. So crucial for Bourne that he has Falconer at least as sort of a buffer to protect him in behind.
Yeah, this is a nice little four-way battle right here.
And that's Falconer trying to make a move up the inside, but not quite able to do so in the DCW Racing BMW. But he'll get another opportunity as he gets a lovely tow on the fellow BMW from the the AM class of Clive Bourne right in front of him. And Bourne knows he's going to just go to the middle of the road, but leaves plenty of space for Falconer to dive up the inside. Patrick Falconer back up to 9th in the overall order then. And Clive Bourne wheel spins a little bit on exit as he tries to cut back underneath, because you can see the purple and yellow car of Zazara closing in upon him. Giovanni Zazara, the Swiss driver, looking to take the race lead, and he's only got about 6 minutes left in the race in which to do so. Millington, by the way, is close win 4/10 of Jamie Nuttall, and he's dragging Kieran Sharp with him for the overall lead.
Let's go back up and take a look at where they're at. Yeah, they're running hard up here. Kieran and Kieran Sharp and Millington have been battling since the first lap.
Yeah, well, action, especially Pro and Am, but Pro Am, ironically enough, as we see a little bit wide from Kieran Sharp at the final corner. Pro Am has been a little bit quiet because Liam Giles has led Nick Clibbins comfortably. Having said that, Paul Weller has hit trouble and dropped back behind Patrick Falconer, Clive Bourne, and he's losing loads of positions. So I think Paul Weller might be facing the wrong way somewhere out on track.
What happened to him?
Here is Paul.
In there behind that Ford GT.
Just a little bit too greedy on the curb. And that's a terrible position because he's facing the wrong way. Luckily, enough space for them all to go to the apex on the inside as Paul Weller goes against the flow of oncoming traffic.
I'm waiting to see the rejoin here after that.
He did wait for a gap. He did actually get heavy on the brakes as well, as actually Kieran Sharp gets a much better exit through turn 4 onto Parabolica, the Einfahrt Parabolica, than Josh Millington ahead of him. So Millington will have to get defensive here as Kieran Sharp is weaving around, as we are still in replay, I think, actually, Jim. So I'm not sure if this is live or not. There we go. But it was lovely to see that was at least relevant there, as we see, the two GTs are just pushing so hard as they go onto the Mobile 1 curve and into Sachsenring curve as they push each other to try and be the first to challenge Jamie Nuttall. But they know time's starting to run out in this race, as actually Zazara has lost out to Nick Russell again. Zazara losing a lot of places here. Wayne McNichol now goes up to 3rd in the AM class, as we see Jamie Nuttall Oh, just starting to get a little bit more defensive here as he telegraphs his intentions. There is Wayne McNichol now in the top 3 in the AM class, right behind Nick Russell there. But be interested to see what happened to Zazara, who's now 2.5 in arrears. You can just see him there in the background in that Corvette.
It's not showing that anything happened to him.
So has made a mistake then and ran a bit wide. Millington takes the lead from Jamie Nuttall. Sorry to cut across you, Jim.
Oh, you good.
But Millington has waited for his opportunity, slipstreaming, but Nuttall is going to break late into the hairpin, pushes the Ford GT out wide, and now Kieran Sharp will fancy having a run at Millington there. So that is the risk you run if you make the early move, slipstreaming, and now Millington still trying to get alongside Jamie Nuttall as they go into Mercedes-Benz Arena. Late in the brakes comes the 86, pushes Nuttall wide, but leaves just enough room for Nuttall to reassume the inside. And now Kieran Sharp is getting alongside Millington as they come towards Mobile 1 curve. A little bit of door banging between the two Ford GTs, and we're seeing them fight each other rather than Jamie Nuttall. As all wide goes Millington, somehow rejoins second without losing any momentum and reasserts himself in second position. Fantastic racing. Just a few laps to go in this first heat then, Jim, and it's anybody's guess who's going to win this one.
That sure was a lot of action to end up in exactly the same positions that they started that battle with. That's pretty good, though. That was some good, fantastic action right there.
You saw Jamie Nuttall was so confident on the brakes there, and that was what enabled him to keep the lead in both instances from Millington there. So Josh Millington is putting in a really, really hard charge, but Jamie Nuttall has got all the answers he needs, can afford to just drive defensively back Millington and Sharp into each other, and he'll be aiming to disappear, though, in these last couple of minutes, just to make sure he's assured of victories. Millington, is he gearing up for another assault into the hairpin as they come out of the parabolica? He's got so much more straight line speed. This time going for the outside, but Nuttall again knows he can just control the middle of the road, stop either of them diving up the inside of the Corvette there. And Millington's out. Oh, has he been disconnected? No, the connection has reasserted itself. So I think just like I saw with Johnny Woo, it's dropped back in, and he's still in second position. But that would have been a little bit worrying for Kieran Sharp to think, I'm up to second, then it disappears in front of him. As now we see, is that McNichol making a move for second in the AM class as he gets alongside Russell there in the battle for 10th position. Side by side they go through the hairpin. You can see Wayne McNichol having to get crazily defensive now. Zazara round the outside of Russell there. Late on the brakes he goes. And that is Zazara, I think, losing out big time. Mellis, who's from the very back of the grid, avoided all the trouble. You can see that turquoise Porsche is joining the party here in this podium battle in AM. And this race has gone absolutely brilliantly for the Belgian.
What's funny is Russell and Zazara, they're both locked up their tires at the same time and gave Wayne McNichol
teammates, if I'm not mistaken.
A little. That's interesting. And they're driving different cars. That's usually they would drive the same vehicle, but
well, they might not be. It's just a similar livery. I apologize.
Well, maybe that's true. Yeah.
Whoa! And Zazara has a big off at the final corner, and that lets Mellis through into fourth position. White flag lap then, as the time is about to expire in this race. So Jamie Nuttall just 2/10 now ahead of Josh Millington and Kieran Sharp. Millington dives to the inside very, very late on the brakes. And it's squirreling around. He just, not to run into the back of Jamie Nuttall, but Kieran Sharp goes through on both of them. So Sharp, avoiding the drama, nips up the inside and steals the lead on the final lap of the race, Jim. That was incredibly aware racecraft, and you can tell Millington is kicking himself after that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were so busy, him and Nuttall were so busy fighting with each other that Kieran just laid back. Yeah, Millington is blinking bad.
Russell and McNichol fighting over second, almost side by side, and Russell, the American, is back into second position somehow. But look at this. Kieran Sharp, just the Sachs corner to go, and then the final couple of corners at Sud Curve on the lap, and he's going to hold off Jamie Nuttall on the final lap. The doors open for Kieran Sharp, and he is going to win the first heat here at the Hockenheimring. Fantastic performance. He bided his time, and he's rewarded with victory there in the TSRC Esports Ford GT. Jamie Nuttall, who held the lead from pole position, has to settle for second, as him and Josh Millington may have a few words after this one. Giles is going to win in in Pro-Am. We didn't see a whole lot of him as we see Nick Russell just holding on to second by the skin of his teeth as Wayne McNichol goes very, very wide, and Mellis might even have a run to the line. Of course, it's Clive Bourne that wins in the AM class with Russell second, McNichol third, Mellis fourth, and Zazara in fifth. What an absolutely hectic Pro and Am race there. In Pro Am, Liam Giles just waltzed away with it. We didn't talk much about him, but fourth overall.
Yeah. That's the problem when you run away from everybody like that. You don't get any TV time. That wow. So I got to go back and find the pass for the lead there where Kieran. Okay, here we go. So this is that whole sequence right there.
Oh, somebody hitting the wall. I have to cross the line in the back.
I got to do it quick because it's going to jump out of this session.
Yeah.
So
Tom Davidson, by the way, got up to 15th in the end, but disappointment for our Pro Championship leaders. Here we go. This is that move.
We jumped out of session. That's it does that. So this is going to be our starting grid for the second race.
Yeah, there we go. And of course, that was so crucial for Tom Davidson to carry on to try and gain as many positions as he could ahead of race 2. As we see the grid about to be presented to us as a warm-up continues.
Oh, well, it won't show us until after the warm-up. So we got a little bit. I wish they would the software would leave that up so we could look at that replay during the warm-up time. You know, because that was such a nice move by Kieran just to lay back there, show patience, not try to stick his nose in there too early and get involved in their, in their business. And ultimately, the door just opened wide open for him, and he just drove right through.
Yeah, we do see a comment in the chat from Josh. I'm not sure if that is Josh Millington or not. He says, no way was there contact on Nuttall. I believe there was a little bit of contact on that final lap. But
I'm not sure. I don't.
It was more Jamie avoiding him, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he dived at the inside.
I think that they both drove it in there so deep. I wish we could have got a look at that replay before the dadgum session flipped over. It's I'm going to certainly go back and look at that again on YouTube after the race. I don't think I don't think contact is what caused the door to open like that. I might be wrong, but from what I saw, it seemed like they both drove it in there so deep that they locked up their brakes. And then that just they both kind of slid a little bit, because again, these cars, you can't get heavy on the brakes if you get real reacty and hammer these brakes in these cars, they will lock up pretty easily. And I think
it did look like
that's what I saw. That's what I thought I saw anyway.
Yeah, because of course Millington was really sliding on the brakes, locked up, and I think you're right. I think if there was contact, it was very, very slight between Millington and Nuttall there. And but yeah, you have to be on the ball in those sorts of scenarios. It's so easy if you're in Kieran Sharp position in the third, going into that, to slip up and become part of the incident.
Easy. Really easy.
Yeah, he saw what was happening and reacted immediately, got all the way to the inside, and took the lead as a result.
Right, and probably lifted and just said, let me see what's going to happen here, because these two are going at each other hard, and it worked out perfectly. That was,
of course,
so fantastic. Though. That was that was fun.
If you're Jamie Nuttall, though, the frustration must be building, because that's another race this season where he's essentially robbed a victory. He was second in round 1, and he's just third in round 3 as well. So, of course, Tom Davidson, of course, has had his first sort of bad race of the season, hasn't he? So this allows. I didn't see where Jack Southfield finished. But,
Southfield he's not here today, is he? No, he's not here today.
I think so. Yeah.
Is he?
It might be another drop round for Jack Southfield. I didn't see him on the.
Yeah, I don't think he's here today.
Unless he got caught up in the first lap. I didn't see him in the timing tower anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, I never did send you that link because we got caught up in that other thing.
Yeah. The other thing called the race.
yeah, that, like starting the stream and everything.
That's true.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So let's see. We're 3 minutes into this warm-up session.
Yeah, we got about half. Sure thing. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us here on JPB Broadcasting. And, of course, TSRC, the Sim Racing Collective. Many events, of course, that we broadcast on this channel. I believe the next one will be the Virtual World Sports Car Championship, the modern 4.8 hours of Le Mans on Saturday tomorrow from 3:30 to 9 is, I think, where the rough broadcast schedule. So action should get going at 4 o'clock UK time. I don't know what that translates to, 4 p.m. In the UK to the United States, or various corners of the United States as well.
If you're Eastern time, it's generally 5 hours difference. So if it's 4 there, it would be 11 a.m. here, or on the East Coast of the United States.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, it's good.
I just do a bit of advertising for James Burrs, but thanks you for sending me. Josh said, looked like defending the dive bomb left the door open.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. That I think that Jamie drove it in there deep to avoid the dive bomb, and he
was on the outside and Millington was on the inside, squirreling around on the brakes.
Correct.
You could argue that Jamie maybe should have backed off and let Josh Millington get crossed up at the hairpin and dive underneath like Kieran Sharp did. But I think if he'd done that, it might have, in turn, backing off might have opened the door for Sharp as well, like we saw eventually anyway. So Nuttall was in a very difficult position there. But here we go. This is the grid for race 2, the feature race. Kieran Sharp, pole position with Jamie Nuttall alongside him. Then it is Josh Millington in 3rd with Liam Giles in 4th. Richard Simonor in 5th with Nick Clibbens alongside him on row 3. Row 4, Mav Gardner and Patrick Falconer. Then Clive Bourne leads row 5 from Nick Russell. Rain McNichol ahead of Stefan Mellis, who's gained a whole 12 positions in the space of one race.
He did.
That's row 6, Nick McNichol and Mellis. Then on row 7 is Giovanni Sazera and Paul Smith in 13th and 14th. Tom Davidson, championship leader in Pro, will start 15th with Paul Weller alongside him for company. Then it is Bobby Moss in 17th with Matt Smith in 18th. Gareth Ronda, 19th. Valerio Tedeschi in 20th. Johnny Wu, 21st. Mauro Gabbiati in 22nd. And Bart Raven in 23rd. So I think Raven has just joined the grid in time for race 2 there. But all the crack drivers who had such a messy start to the opening lap in the sprint race, they have got to hope to keep it clean here as we see, is that Josh Millington disappearing from view here? He might have had some issue before the start here.
Well,
I think he's trying to get back in position.
I think that could be a disconnection thing.
Oh dear. So Millington,
well, it says he's in the pit, but I think he may have. I wonder if he got pitted by the game. They got that new feature where if you're not connected well, you get pitted.
Yeah, iRacing not being kind to Josh Millington. Not only does he
was
big for the win go wrong at the end of the sprint race, but now he may not even get to start the feature. Right? If he does, he'll be from the pit lane quite late, you'd imagine. 25 minutes on the clock then, as we are 2 minutes in, and Jamie Nuttall and Kieran Sharp now. Nuttall actually pulls across in front of Kieran Sharp. Is he just telegraphing that he wants revenge here in the feature?
No, I think this is going to be a nice battle here, too, because you can believe that, like you said earlier, though, you talked about Nuttall being frustrated by having wins taken away. I guess there's a couple of ways that you can look at that. You could also look at that and say he's always in contention. You know what I mean? As we come here to the start.
Yep, here we go then. So Kieran Sharp on the inside from pole position. Jamie Nuttall alongside him. The lights go red. The racing begins here at Hockenheim. And it's Kieran Sharp that's gone away brilliantly. Richard Simonor is trying to go up the inside of Jamie Nuttall into turn 1, but is denied from doing so as Liam Giles holds on to 4th. And then in the background, we have got Falconer, Gardner and Clibbens all fighting over the top 6 position here. We see Paul Weller losing a few positions through turns 3 and 4. And Tom Davidson.
We got somebody around back. It's Mav Gardner.
Crash. Oh dear, Mav Gardner. It all comes to grief for him now, but for Kieran Sharp, he is going to be towed. We've got Lee. He's giving a lovely tow, by the way, I should say, to Jamie Nuttall. Behind him, we see, was that Clive Bourne, who's made an excellent clean getaway up to, I think, 7th overall behind Patrick Falconer there. 6th overall, sorry, is even better.
Yeah.
I've been underestimating him there, as we see Jamie Nuttall tucking in behind Kieran Sharp here. Sharp, who bided his time, was very, very patient in the sprint race. Now the shoe is on the other foot, so to speak, and he's got to play defensive against Jamie Nuttall here, or potentially see if both of them can break away from Richard Simnor, who finds himself with the early elimination before the race even began of Josh Millington. Simnor finds himself with a overall podium that he's staring down the barrel of ahead of Liam Giles.
Yeah, this is a welcome situation for him. Obviously, that one less car he has to battle, which is horrible for Millington. I do think he got out of the pits, though. I believe. Oh no, it shows him as out. Golly, yeah, that's terrible. I wanted to go back and see what exactly happened with.
Problem is, Jamie Nuttall looks like he's lining up a move here.
Oh yeah, no, I can't cut away from this.
Yeah, exactly. So Nuttall then using the Corvette, tucking right behind the Ford GT. They're starting to just pull a small 4/10 gap to Richard Simnor, who's actually got Liam Giles for company. Giles going for another overall podium in the Pro-Am class. Again, not a great exit from Jamie Nuttall, though. You sense he hasn't got the raw straight line speed of the Ford GT, but he's really, really good on the brakes. As we see all action behind, Johnny Wu has gained a lot of positions. The German, who was on pole in the AM class for the start of the sprint race, has gone from near the back of the grid outside the top 20 to 11th as he's just cleared Gareth Ronda, being beaten back in the fellow Ferrari. Yes, 10 places gained from Johnny Wu, so he's had a really, really good start to this feature race as Bobby Moss slips past Gareth Ronda as well.
Yeah, Wu's moving up fast back there.
Yeah, and now he's all over the back of...
yeah, it's cut back to see if he was on Paul Smith there.
Oh, somebody going well off track in one of the cracked cars. It wasn't Johnny Wu. Wu is okay. So a sigh of relief.
Gareth Ronda.
It was Ronda that went into the gravel then, right, coming out of Mocha Wonka.
Jump back real quick to that Mav Gardner incident at the very beginning here.
Oh, lost it on his own. And then got tapped by... Was that Paul Smith that hit the back of him?
I'm afraid that might have been... Let's see.
Tom Davidson. Oh, no, it was Tom Davidson has a little moment as well. Yeah. So that's why he's not gained a lot of the ground. He's still down in 15th, I think. But luckily took to the grass, no damage, just a sort of tank slapper moment where he was able to just...
He is not having the best day, is he?
No, not good news for our championship leader at all. This could well end up being a dropped round for him. Luckily, he's got all those wins and second places to fall back on. As we see Jamie Nuttall trying to take full advantage here, but still Kieran Sharp blocks the way. And yeah, Clive Bourne, meanwhile, is still in the lead of the AM class, but it's Zazara that's just taken on the exit the hairpin Nick Russell. So Russell and Zazara continuing their duel from the sprint race there, and that's allowing Clive Bourne to build up another big gap here for the Big Pig Racing driver.
I love the Big Pig guys. I don't know the guy's name, but they have a guy who's like Big Pig is his YouTube handle, and he always comes in and he's a big, you know, he gets all worked up, fired up. It's fun. I like it. Him and James go back and forth all the time. Good stuff.
Well, he'll be loving seeing Clive.
Yes.
The Big Pig in the big rig, the BMW.
He is definitely a big pig guy for sure.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds to the good then ahead of Zazara as we see Sharp and Nuttall exploring the very limits of the track as they extend out of the first corner. Can't afford to do that too many times then, as we got 20 minutes to go in this feature race, and you do sense it's just going to be punch and counter punch between Nuttall and Sharp, but Sharp has not left the door open yet. He's relying on the straight line speed advantage that the Ford GT has,
which to me is strange, because in my experience, the Ford GT in this particular class should not have more power than the Corvette, which would indicate to me that either Kieran is running a very little wing, you know what I mean, and that's why he would have straight line speed, or for some reason Jamie is running a heavier downforce setup, and which is killing his straight line speed a little bit, because in my experience driving the Corvette has always seemed faster to me.
Yeah, that's certainly been, as we see again, Sharp, you can tell understeering a little bit on some of these corner exits as well. And because he's washing out wide, Nuttall in the sort of air of the car in front, the slipstream is sort of washing out wide in turn as well through some of these corners. As we cut back to Gabbiati challenging Bart Raven, not in the same class, of course. This is Bart Raven is in 5th in the Pro-Am class, and Gabbiati is about 6th or 7th in the Am class.
But you got a nice battle here with back here with Gareth Ronda, and of course Tom Davidson's on the move trying to claw his way back up and salvage as many points as he can. And of course he's fast, and I'm sure at this point driving a little aggressive and, you know, I don't want to say angry, but, you know, just aggressively trying to make up spots. And
yeah, we didn't quite see what happened in the sprint race too, but I suspect he may have just gone wide trying to avoid the drama, didn't he?
Yeah,
and it was a similar story at the start here.
What happened.
Anyway, we did see him having to make that pit stop as well, which is the only thing that slightly confuses me. Maybe he got.
Well, I think he might have got bumped. Yeah, somewhere got a shot in that whole giant mess. That was such a big mess at the beginning of that first race.
It involved the cracked cars, 2 of which are right immediately in front of him. Matt Smith and Gareth Ronda. And now Mav Gardner taking advantage. This was not part of the plan. The Pro-Am driver going for a double move. Oh! And he spins Gareth Ronda out there at the hairpin. That was absurdly late on the brakes from Mav Gardner in the BMW there. Tom Davidson, he won't mind one bit. He goes up through into 17th position. But yeah,
well,
certainly
the thing was Mav Gardner was trying to pass Davidson, you know, and Davidson just kind of was almost like letting him go. I guess Davidson realized he was flying in there way too hot, and he kind of just let him go, and then the action happened, and then here goes Davidson right by him.
It's typical of experienced top driver like Thomas Davidson, knows exactly what he's doing, and now he's got Matt Smith all to himself then as they fight over 16th overall. Davidson, of course, with there not being that many pro runners, he's still sort of 4th in the pro class as Matt Gardner loops it round at the final corner. Oh, nice. Well held.
Yeah, he
avoided
did.
the wall on the inside, but that's one way to let Gareth Ronda back through, but I don't think that was the way Matt Gardner really intended to.
Probably not so much, no.
Anyway, Kieran Sharp then starting to get comfortable. You see this in fights here where he knows where he's strong relative to Kieran Sharp and where he needs to get defensive. As we see Sharp again closes up a little bit in the braking zone, but the Corvette cannot get even against the Ford GT in front of him here. So Sharp is just going to have to keep the powder dry and wait for a better opportunity. Because it's a longer race, of course, there might be some lap traffic later on that could influence things. But
I tell you, this to me shows a bit of Kieran's skill. You know, like, as you know, he came in and he talks to us before the race and stuff when we're out there goofing off and all that stuff. But man, I'm gonna tell you what, he's fast. I mean, yeah, because I'm pretty sure the GT is slower than that Corvette. You know, and
not in the hands of Kieran Sharp.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. He is. Oh, Nuttall had a little twitch right there.
Yeah, both of them had a bit of a moment at the final corner as they kick up rubber and dust out of the final corner. Nuttall, the longer this race goes on, the more desperate he might get as they again just about stick on the curb, so they should avoid any corner cut in theory.
We've definitely seen that Nuttall will get aggressive. You know, I mean, he was kind of defending before, but this is a nice little 3rd, 4th, and 5th place battle back here between Nick Russell and Wayne McNichol, Johnny Woo.
Yeah, Nick Russell once more in defensive mode in that Porsche, but Johnny Woo, who's cleared at Bobby Moss and Paul Smith while they've been fighting each other, is now in 10th position overall, and he's looking to get into the top 4 in the AM class. This is really showing that qualifying form has come good here as he recovers from a difficult first race. We got caught an instance in the first lap. You see McNichol cutting to the middle of the road towards the hairpin to defend, and you see a little bit of a bad exit actually from Johnny Woo. Is that going to allow Bobby Moss back through? Well, that wasn't part of Johnny Woo's plan there, but now hopefully he can just follow Bobby through once he starts to attack McNichol and Russell here.
That's the worst feeling ever, isn't it? You work hard to pass a guy, you get him past, then you twitch like that, and you let him right back through.
I think Tom Davidson's hit an issue here because
no.
he's gone in. He's dropped to 20th behind Tedeschi. Yeah, there he is. Is that car looking a bit damaged? It is.
Yeah,
he goes straight on. Maybe we'll see a replay and see what happened. I suspect, was he on his own completely?
Like he is.
As it looks like Tom Davidson has retired. So it looks like the incident's happened early because he's way off the back over now. Oh, and then he has the spin. So he's just past Matt Smith, and then he just loops it round, does a 180. So the car clearly not happy. He decides to reverse down the track, interestingly enough, and then does a spin turn, uses the wall to right the car.
Yeah,
but
that shows
Tom Davidson
level of frustration he was dealing with there.
Yeah, but that's very
unfortunate.
But that is a 16th in the sprint race, and then a non-finish in this race. This blows the championship wide open, especially for the likes of Jamie Nuttall. If only he could get past Kieran Sharp and maximize the advantage here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, and look, I mean, I don't know. Let's see what we got. Is there? I think there's 2 more races left, I believe. Maybe one more, but. You know, I wouldn't count Kieran Sharp out of moving up in this points championship, you know.
A lot of action in the midfield there as I think Nick Russell losing a load of positions there. So Johnny Woo has gotten through into third. I think Moss was getting alongside Wayne McNichol as McNichol also losing positions along with Nick Russell as well, down to 15th and 16th. So something happened to the both of them on this lap. Johnny Woo's up to third though in class.
You can see Stefan Mellis looming there in the background as well. So Wayne McNichol right here, see what happened.
Yeah, Bobby Moss in the Porsche was going past both of them. McNichol was trying to get back up the inside.
Locked him up. And
hit
man, hit Russell.
Taps him around. Taps poor Russell around. Russell didn't see what hit him.
Wow, yeah, that's a tough spot, man. And then apparently Nick Russell...
At least McNichol did back off to let him back through as well. That was quite sporting.
Yeah, that's good.
It doesn't give him those positions back.
That's unfortunate.
Just one.
I always got to pop back up here before we can look at something else. Because these two have been going at it.
Yeah, still in the replay. The gap's 6/10 between these two is, I think, Nick Russell.
That's not subtle,
is our latest retirement. Yeah. I know, sorry. It looks like Nick Russell has decided to retire from the race, though, after being spun around there. And for the American, you can't really blame him after that one because, that must have been hugely frustrating while fighting for potentially the Pro-Am podium there.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That is, I'm sure, horribly
the AM
frustrating.
podium, sorry.
And I don't know his history. I haven't had enough experience with these guys. It's only I think I've done 3 races for this series, but I know some of them from the BMW series they did earlier. But yeah, if he's, if that's potentially one of your first podiums or you're up early and you know what I mean?
Well, he was second in the last event, was Nick Russell.
Okay, so he's had so yeah, he was starting to string some stuff together, it looked like, and then that really brought him out there a little bit.
Yeah, only his third appearance of the season.
Battles here. We got Bart Raven back here and Gabbiati.
Yep, so Bart Raven in all the chaos has moved up to 5th in the Pro-Am class.
That car's seen some chaos tonight too, hasn't it?
Yeah, in the first race especially, but Bart Raven keeping it clean to run just 8/10 behind Gabbiati.
He's up 10 spots right now. I mean, from where, because obviously he had
him and Gabbiati.
Yeah.
Biggest gainer, though, has got to be Johnny Woo, though, who is 6/10 behind Bobby Moss and only half a second ahead of Paul Smith. Both, of course, in the Pro-Am class with Johnny Woo in the AMs. So Johnny will want to clear Bobby Moss as quickly as possible. You see Wayne McNichol now has also hit trouble. I think he might be calling it quits as well.
That looks like it. Yeah, he's in the pits.
Yeah, 17 runners then.
Frustration setting in for a few of these guys at this point.
Yeah, Richard Simnor has dropped well off the back, 3.9 seconds now behind Jamie Nuttall, then, who continues his relentless pursuit of Kieran Sharp. Sharp's not made any big mistakes so far, so it'll be difficult. Actually, Nick Russell did get going again, so we do have 18 cars.
Look at these lap times that Nuttall and Sharp are putting down, though.
Yeah, 135 4s, 135 5s.
Yeah.
We're not far off quali pace, are we?
No. I mean, it's hard for these other
They're
guys
about
to
half a
keep
second
up.
off of their best laps, aren't they?
Yeah, this is, I mean, and it's, if the tires hold up as this fuel load gets lighter, they're going to get faster.
Yeah, but the opportunities for overtakes are going to diminish by the lap, and that's what Jamie Nuttall knows as he closes within 3/10 again. Now we watch Bobby Moss under pressure from Johnny Wu and Paul Smith. Paul Smith, his battle's really with Bobby, but he's got Johnny in the middle and in the way, so he's got to clear that pink Ferrari by hook or by crook here.
Yeah, this is, Johnny Wu's not their fight, but Johnny's trying to catch up to Giovanni Zazzara in second place.
They are doing it. Look, Bobby Moss 136.4, 136.6 for Wu and Smith. Zazzara 137.2 and Clive Byrne 137.0. So Zazzara's only about 1.6 seconds ahead of Bobby Moss, so he's getting closer and closer to the toe. Johnny Wu won't be panicking just yet, still got 9 minutes left in the race, but Clive Byrne 2 seconds ahead. If Johnny Wu clears Zazzara quickly, then Clive Byrne could be in trouble here.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens back there. Now, I also noticed that Gabbiati and Stefan Mellis they've drifted a little bit apart here now, but they were nose to tail there a second ago. This is a battle for fourth and fifth in class, and as we know, Mellis, of course, started right at the tail end of the field, didn't he, in the first race, and then worked his way up and had a decent start in this race. And
less spectacular progress. He's only gained one spot from where he started, but he's stayed out of trouble for the most part. So that will be of some comfort. But Gabbiati, Raven, and Wu have been the big gainers from where they started, at least. Now we see Kieran Sharp is starting to catch lap traffic here, and that will excite the heart rate of Jamie Nuttall ever so slightly. Is that Wayne McNichol about to go a lap down, just getting out of Kieran Sharp's way. And there we go. He is now officially a lap down, and if anything, that slightly prevents Jamie Nuttall, because it looked like Kieran Sharp just got a little bit more of a toe going into the hairpin than he otherwise would have. And again, Nuttall, he must be getting sick at the back of that Ford GT, isn't he? It's a mirror image of that first race.
Well, I'm trying to figure out here. See, he's closing heavily on him under braking, but then as they get off the turn, that's a bad example there because it was another turn, but as they get off the turn, it seems that Kieran is pulling away from him, which would indicate to me that possibly Jamie is driving it a wee bit hard into the turn, and he's having to wait to pick the accelerator up. See how he closes? But now here, right, as they start to get through these turns, Kieran will pull away from him. Again,
yeah, Paul Smith, by the way, is cleared Johnny Wu for 9th overall. So Bobby Moss now is only 7/10 behind Giovanni Zazzara. So if Zazzara starts holding Moss up, it could be golden opportunity for Smith to challenge for that Pro-Am podium. Liam Giles, by the way, only 1.9 seconds ahead of Patrick Falconer. So Falconer has been matching the lap times of Liam Giles, if anything, getting slightly faster at this phase of the race. So Liam Giles has not had the completely untroubled run that we saw in the sprint race. Now Patrick Falconer is starting to take the fight to him.
Yeah, I was just popping back here to see if how close Bobby Moss was, how close Paul Smith was to Bobby Moss. He's still got the gap looks bigger on in person than it does on paper.
Yeah, certainly. It also depends how quickly he's gaining as well, because now he's just cleared Wu on this last lap. We'll have to see what his times are. The lap before, 7/10 slower than Bobby Moss, but it's only 2/10 slower than Zazzara as we look at Giovanni Zazzara in the Corvette. Just starting to, as Bobby Moss nearly goes deep and hits the back of him in the Nigel Mansell Vanquish. He's even got a Nigel Mansell helmet in that
nice.
number 5. It's a number 5 as well, not a red 5. As Johnny Wu gets back past Paul Smith in the background. So Johnny Wu retaking position back on the move. He saw Stefan Mellis was starting to catch him and thought, I need Paul Smith as a buffer here again. Yeah, and all this fighting is allowing Bobby Moss to pull a 4-second gap to him, though.
You ready for this? Let's go see that Nigel Mansell helmet. Look at that.
It's so 80s. It's so 1980s.
Actually, that's kind of a modern version of it, really. It's, it's a more modern helmet because it's even got the vent on top. But yeah, that's a nice looking helmet.
Yeah, there's actually a driver that I do in real life. I do go-karting commentary, and there's a driver in the higher rental karting to the series that I commentate on who turns up. She always has a Nigel Mansell helmet because she's a big fan and got married to her partner recently, who's also a Damon Hill fan and runs with Damon Hill helmet. So both of them very, very easy to spot. And in a world of higher karting championships, so most people to show up black suit, white helmet, it is quite appreciated.
Or black helmets, yeah. My son does. He's done some karting racing as well, and he's got a red, white, and blue helmet that is pretty easy to spot out there.
Look at this, Bobby Moss going a bit wide, almost like he's letting Johnny Woo. Oh no, this is Zazara. So Zazara deciding to go to the inside, locks up the brakes, goes wide on exit. This is going to create an opportunity for Bobby Moss, but he's too early on the power. It gets very squirrely on exit, and you can see in the background Wu, Smith, Mellis, and Gabbiati all dueling away with each other. Jamie Nuttall, by the way, has dropped about 7/10 behind Kieran Sharp. So Sharp is starting to just get very, very comfortable in the lead. He's sort of anticipating all of Nuttall's tricks. So unless Nuttall is going to leave it to the final lap, as we see Bobby Moss going very, very wide, almost in a bit of frustration there.
I think that's exactly what it is. He's getting frustrated with Zazara.
Not even in the same race as Zazara as well. So
well, but the thing is, my thought on that is always Zazara's running in 7th overall.
And he's catching Clive Bourne for the AM lead as well.
Right. Can you expect the guy to, do they expect him to give up 7th overall and he's right behind the guy, in front of him in class? I just, I get why they get frustrated, but he's got all the right to that position in the world as far as I'm concerned.
I think so too. I think it's more just Bobby Moss is frustrated with his own inability to clear ground because he knows that if the group behind starts catching up because of this, at the moment, still 3.5 seconds ahead. So they've actually closed half a second while he's been trying these aborted moves.
This is what happened. Look, Jamie.
All right, let's see a replay. So Jamie Nuttall, he's about fourth. Then he goes a bit wide on exit Mobile, dips a bit wheel into the gravel. Sharp goes a little bit wide for his sex curve. So it's just ebbing and flowing, but the gap now is just a whole second. So I'm assuming Nuttall is about to get on the curb and make a mistake here through the final couple of corners. At Sud curve, no, okay.
No, I thought that's exactly what I thought was there was going to be something that was real noticeable, but not really.
Ooh, a little bit wide. Oh, did he have to slow down going wide out of the first corner?
Possibly yeah.
Yeah, so the gap now 9/10. I think we're still in replay.
Oh, we are, yeah. I was staying with it intentionally just to see what happened to him.
Well, whatever happened, it wasn't, unfortunately, it wasn't especially interesting, but good that you spotted that the gap had gone up as Bobby Moss now starting to run out of tricks here to throw at the Swiss driver in the Corvette in front of him. You can tell the Corvette is probably the better car to have around here than the Porsche, although Richard Simnor still running quite high, 6.5 seconds behind Jamie Nuttall and 2 seconds ahead of Liam Giles, who's kept the gap very, very steady to Patrick Volkner in the Pro-Am lead. As again, Bobby Moss extends the track as much as he dares as we're going into the final 30 seconds of the race. This should be white flag lap then. Oh, and look at that. More lap traffic in between Sharp and Nuttall.
I was going to say, who's that? Where did he come from? That's a great looking car, by the way.
It's Nick Clibbins.
Look at that car, would you?
Yeah, it great livery on.
Let's see if I can look.
I'm pretty sure it's Clibbins because we saw McNichol going a lap now.
Look at that. It's got the red line livery on it. It's a GT with that red line livery. It looks so.
Oh, Jamie Nuttall weaving around. Doesn't look too happy there. But he knows he's going to have to settle for second again. And it's his quest to win in the GTE TSRC Championship eludes him so far. But then coming out the final corner, now he won the sprint race in dramatic fashion. He defended brilliantly in the feature. It's Kieran Sharp that wins again at the Hockenheimring. And having missed a few races, he gets the championship challenge well and truly running. A brilliant drive from the British driver to beat Jamie Nuttall. Richard Simnor is going to cross the line in third. Then Liam Giles will win in the Pro-Am class from Patrick Falconer. Here is Clive Bourne about to cross the line now. 11 seconds down to win again in the Am class from Zazara, but this time by a much reduced margin. Just 1 second is the margin that Clive Bourne wins for the Big Pig Racing by VRS team. Zazara holds off Bobby Moss. Fantastic fight between those two, with Zazara really having to break late into the hairpin to hold on there. And then it's Johnny Wu that's going to round out the Am podium with Moss in third in the Pro-Am podium, and Paul Smith rounding out the overall top 10 just ahead of Stefan Mellis and Maral Galbiati. Wow, then.
Across the line.
Yep, everybody. That's 18 drivers finishing the race then, including poor Nick Russell, who got tapped around for no real fault of his own.
Yeah, that's
visiting
tough.
the pit lane.
That's a bad spot to be running in third like that. Was it third he was running in, right? Yeah. He got tapped around.
In class, yeah. Shall we go over the overall results then, or should we look at the replay?
Well, actually, I'm waiting for them to pop up. Are they? Actually, not.
There we go. It looks like Nick Russell just crossed the line now.
Oh, there we go. Guy who we were talking about. I felt so bad for him, man. That was just a bad deal there.
Certainly. We're still in the top 8 in the championship. Still got to the end. We'll get a couple of points. Oh, maybe we clicked it slightly too early. but nonetheless, I can just read off of the live timing then.
If it's I wanted to show overall results.
So then Kieran Sharp makes it 2 from 2 in the Hockenheimring from Jamie Nuttall, who makes it 2 second places from the trip to Germany from Baden-Württemberg. Richard Simonor is third. This is the class victory, the class results in Pro then. Richard Simonor third, Tom Davidson retiring 9 laps down along with Josh Millington. Overall results, Liam Giles was 4th and the winner in the Pro-Am class from Patrick Falconer, with Clive Bourne 6th overall winner in the Am class for the second race in a row. It's a joyful race for Big Pig Racing. Giovanni Zazara, the Swiss privateer, is 7th, just a second behind him. Then it's Bobby Moss rounding out the Pro-Am podium in 8th. Johnny Wu rounding out the Am podium in 9th, with Paul Smith in 10th in Pro-Am. Then it is Stefan Mellis and Maral Galbiati 11th and 12th. Bart Raven in 13th, with Mav Gardner 14th. Gareth Ronda 15th. Matt Smith 16th. Valerio Tedeschi 17th. And Nick Russell a lap down, rounding out our finishes from Wayne McNichol, who was also a lap down in 20th. But not finishing the race was championship leader Tom Davidson, who spun. It was a very uncharacteristic race from Tom. Paul Weller and Josh Millington, who didn't even get to see the start. So yeah, the second big pig of Paul Weller also getting involved in a big crash on the first lap.
But they sure had a nice finish from Clive Bourne, though, with Big Pig, winning the Am class and finishing 6th overall. That was a nice run.
Yeah, we do have somebody waiting in the interview room now. It's Borneo number 7. Do you know who that is, Jim?
I have no idea.
I could look at the profile. Maybe that might give some clues.
We'll pull him in and find out. We
can ask him the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, let's be brave. Here we go. All right, you're on.
So we're now joined by Borneo 7. Hello there. Who are you, out of interest? Nice to meet you.
Hello. I'm a driver for Big Pig Racing.
Clive Bourne.
You must be Clive Bourne then. Borneo, Bourne. Of course, yes. Should have seen the hints there.
Sorry.
Congratulations, Clive. 2 wins in a row then. So sprint race, chaos in the first lap opens the door for you as who was it that it was Johnny Wood was on pole and then got involved in a huge collision. You avoided the chaos, got into the lead, won by a huge margin, and then you just about held on by a second to beat Zazara in the feature as well. So it really couldn't have gone much better for you, Clive.
It's almost been a perfect evening after one of the most hectic weeks of my life with like blood tests and things. So it feels very good. I couldn't believe my luck in race 1. To end up behind my teammate Paul Weller after only like 2 corners. Couldn't believe that. And race 1 wasn't too bad, but to hold on in race 2 and also pick up a P6 overall, that feels very good. hard work, but very good.
Yeah, that was a nice run for you
Hand
there.
over to you, Jim.
No, I was just going to say that was a nice run for you there. Good, like I said, first overall, first in class and 6th overall. That's a fantastic finish.
Thank you very much. I've had some trouble in the earlier races with contact, so it's nice to actually get a clean weekend and show what I can actually do.
Well, there you go. Nice, good job. Do you got anybody you want to shout out to while we have you in here?
I'd certainly like to shout out to my other teammates. I'm not sure why most of them haven't turned up tonight, but yeah, the other teammates running here, and obviously to the guys that are hosting and you guys commentating and all the people that are doing the stewarding. Big shout out to them. Makes it all tick. We might not like some of the decisions, but that's the way it goes sometimes. That's racing.
Yeah, well, that's why, nobody wants to be in charge for that reason.
That sounds very fair.
That's true, though, so. But, yeah, congratulations again, man. What a fantastic finish for you, and fantastic finish for Big Pig Racing tonight. I've done some of the other series with this league, and I know that there's always been a big cheerleader on on Facebook. On YouTube cheering on the Big Pig team. I don't know who that is, but y'all have always had really good support. So it seems like y'all are a pretty active group.
Yeah, we do our best. We'll see how tomorrow goes for the Nürburgring, but yeah.
Cheers, guys. That's going to be fun. Yep. Congratulations again.
No worries. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
What if moving up to, I believe, to 2nd in the championship in AM, Clive?
Oh, nice.
Okay. He maybe didn't care that much. Well, good news for him, I guess. But
yeah, nobody else wanted to come chat with us. Surprised Kieran didn't jump in here.
Yeah, you'd think. Well, maybe he's busy celebrating.
He could be spraying the champagne and all that stuff. It
was I was going to say a late call up to qualifying, but we sort of jumped the gun, assuming that qualifying had already finished. Maybe I think Kieran would have a very interesting perspective, especially on the sprint race and, of course, on the defensive job he had to do. I think all the hard work, it must be said, was done in that first race, because once he got into the lead, he sort of seemed to have the edge over Jamie Nuttall. There was never really an opportunity for him to sweep through. And as for Liam Giles, well, he's just continuing his form, isn't he? The runaway championship leader in Pro-Am, if I'm not mistaken, has only been beaten once this season in the opening round, where he finished 2nd, and he's just continuing his perfect score, really.
Yeah, his drops are going to be interesting. He's going to have to drop a 2nd place. But no, that's phenomenal finish there. I mean, he's, like I said, he is, like you said, he's clearly just running away with it right now. And unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of TV time because of that. He was so far out in front, there wasn't anything exciting going on around him. But it's been an interesting race tonight. I like I said, you and I started off with a little bit of chaos, but we got going good. And we certainly
luckily the chaos transitioned to being on track rather than in the broadcaster.
Boy, it was. I tell you what, race 1 was full of some chaos, and then race 2 overall was relatively clean. I mean, there was a little bit of action, but good hard racing up and down the field all night long. Can't ask for much more than that.
Nope, you certainly can't. I'm just going to give a last call to see if anybody else desperately begging for interviews, essentially. But don't think we're going to get anything from that then. So
they don't want to talk to us. That's okay.
So let's just, for fans of this specific championship, when is the next TSRC round? Do you know, Jim?
It's next weekend. I don't know where they're going, though. The schedule format is, hold on, I can tell you right here. I can't.
Okay.
They're they do have one next Friday, but I do not know where they're going off the top of my head, unfortunately. I jumped in here to cover for the boss man, so I didn't get the chance to dig too deeply. But I also wanted to check and see if this is, so they've got 2 weeks left. So Kieran Sharp, I'm sure, made a pretty nice run at that, improving in the championship since he had two first place finishes tonight, and the fact that
he only had a second place before today as well from round 3. So he's got sort of 2 rounds he sort of got to drop because he wasn't there.
Right.
So,
but now Davidson had such a bad night, you know.
It could be wide open. I think Kieran Sharp has got a great chance to finish in the top 3, maybe, but I see the top 2 being basically Nuttall and Davidson.
Sure, you would think
most likely.
But that was a nice performance from Kieran. But it was a pleasure working with you. I look forward to doing some other stuff with you soon.
Yeah, you too, Jim. It's been lovely to meet and know how you think. But anyway, now that we've wait about 10 minutes for anybody else to come up, I think it's probably a good time to wrap up then. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Jim, for filling in on broadcast and for James so dutifully. Thank you, of course, to TSRC for putting on a great show. They'll be back next Friday, I assume, with James and somebody else.
Yes, it looks like James will be back next week. Yes.
Absolutely. But anyway, as James likes to say, thank you very much for watching. And you never know, if you keep tuning in, we might see you on track somewhere in the near future. So I've been Edward Hunter. Thank you very much for watching the 4th round of the TSRC GTE Masters. They'll be back next Friday for their penultimate round. And JP Broadcaster will be back over the weekend for more TSRC endurance action by the sounds of things. So make sure you tune in for that. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.